One, get your credit score. Check your credit score right now. It's free. You can do it for free. Write down or take note of your due dates for all your bills. Reduce your utilization. This step is practically the hardest for a lot of people because it means that you have to pay before the due date, or you have to actively monitor your spending so that you don't go over that 30% threshold. Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new around here, please like and subscribe. So around 2018, I decided to get my financial house in order. And part of that is having a solid credit score. I mean, you don't need to have an 850 or over 800. I mean, a 750 is equally good. Like, you can get a lot of things approved, or you can get a lot of opportunities with 750. But the whole idea, and for me, my target, the goal that I had set for myself was a minimum of 800. That was my goal. And I set that goal and I went after it. Today, I want to give you practical steps. I want to give you practical tips on what you can actually do to improve your credit score starting from now. So, first things first, there are 5 things that affect your credit score. And those 5 things, we're going to go through them today. And then I'll also give you tips on how to actually implement them, But there's a saying, you cannot track what you don't measure. You cannot, so in the same vein, right? You cannot fix a credit score that you don't know what it is, or that you don't even know what could be the issue. So the first action plan for this whole plan to work, this whole thing to work, is first go and run your score right now. If you can pause this video, and I think all the major banks in Canada and even in the States, in the US, they all offer this service. And if they don't, then there's you can go to Credit Karma or Borrowwell in Canada. Borrowwell in Canada, Credit Karma in the US. They will run your credit for free. And I mean, they could probably sell you stuff or offer to sell you promotions, or based on the score that they see there, they might offer you promotions and marketing stuff. But that's what you get in exchange for using their service, right? 5 things that affect your credit score. Number 1, payment history. Your payment history determines 35% of your credit score. Now that's huge. The payment history, that includes your phone bills. If you're signed up for any, as long as it's not prepaid, as long as you're on a plan of some kind, there's a credit reporting component attached to it. And then that includes your utility bills, your electricity, energy, and credit cards, right? All the bills that you have, your loans, if you have a loan, your car loan, your mortgages, if you have a house or you have a mortgage, those are all part of the things that make up your payment history. So what is payment history? It's essentially being able to pay your bills on time, and you want to pay it before the due date. And you don't even have to pay, with the bills, essentially the phone bills and the utility bills, I think you have to pay that completely. But with your credit cards, which is the focus of this video today, with your credit cards, you only need to make the minimum payment, but you need to make it on time. So what is a practical step that you can take today, right now, starting from right now? If you're old school like me, get a pen and paper, get all your statements and write your due date. Write your due date down, But if you're more techie, you can put it on your phone. Put a reminder on your phone to pay your minimum on a certain date. Or better yet, set it up automatically to auto debit your bank account, your checking account, to pay the bill automatically without you remembering to do it. Pay the minimum by the due date. This whole plan, I want you to give it, 3 to 6 months. Obviously, you're not going to get a perfect score by tomorrow. But if you do what I'm asking you to do, in a month's time, you will see significant change. So payment history, 35% of your score is determined by your payment history. You need to pay those bills on time. You need to make sure that you're paying your minimums on the due date. By the due date. I set mine up to go 10 days before because that takes into account weekends, right? It's ideally it will be 7 business days before the due date, but I set it up to go 10 days before the due date. So that's the first thing. The second thing that impacts your credit score is your credit utilization. Now, credit utilization for for uh, for a car loan or a student loan or your uh, even your mortgages, that doesn't really, that's not what the focus of credit utilization is. The focus is on those credit lines, those open credit lines. So that would be your line of credit, your credit cards. With credit utilization, you need to make sure that you're using below 30% of your available credit. So what does that mean in practical terms? That the tip you can apply right now is make sure that you're not using over 30% of your score of your available credit. So if you have $1,000 limit credit, don't spend more than $300 on it. Or if you do spend over $300, make sure you pay pay down before your credit reporting date. And note that your statement date is not the same as your credit reporting date. So the credit reporting date is the day that the credit cards send your balance to your to the credit bureau. On the other hand, while we're at this credit utilization, you can request a credit limit increase, but note that requesting a credit limit increase can impact your score. You need to discuss with your lender or your credit card issuer and find out if you already qualify for it. Sometimes you already qualify for it or they have already offered it to you, but for some reason you're not accepting it because you don't trust yourself or you think you're going to spend whatever you have available. Obviously, you should note that this comes with a huge risk because a lot of people, when they see available credit, they go and spend. This whole idea works on spending less. You have to spend less. You have to pay your bills on time. You have to pay off your credit card in full. I'm not a fan of paying interest. I don't like paying interest. The next thing that impacts your credit score is the length or the length of your credit history. So that would be the how many years you've had that credit line open. So the longer, obviously, the longer you've had it open, the better. That contributes 15% to your score. So you want those old accounts to stay long in your history, but not like having student loan forever or something. You want to pay those off, right? But what I'm talking about here is those credit cards, the one you were given or you had to sign up for when you were in the university or when you were in school or as soon as you got to 18 and you got your first credit card. You want to leave that card as long as possible. Even if you're not getting any benefit from it, just leave it open. And occasionally, maybe every once in a while, you can buy coffee with it. If you're a coffee drinker. If you're not, you can just spend like $5 on it. Maybe pay for parking or something. Speaking about parking, did you know that parking ticket impacts your credit score? It does. You need to make sure that you're paying those credits, your parking tickets on time, because if you don't pay them, they can report to your credit bureau, and your credit bureau will they will report you to collections, and then the collections will report you to the credit bureau, and that will impact your credit score negatively. So you want to be doing that. You want to be paying those tickets if you get them, especially the municipal ones, right? The ones that from the city. When they cannot collect it, they sometimes report you, and they send it to the collections, and the collections will um, ding you for it, right? So one way to get those off is to dispute it. If you already have one, right? Call them, call the bureau, and try to dispute it. If let's say for example you forgot that you had a ticket and you didn't know you had, or you never knew you had the ticket, and the wind, maybe they placed it on your on your windshield, and the wind blew it away, right? You can call them and dispute and say you never knew you had a ticket, but you're willing to pay it, and you can negotiate those things once they've been long like that, and collections actually buys them for a percentage of what they're worth. So you want to negotiate when you go to settle those debts and to ask them to remove it from your credit report. Next thing that impacts your credit score is the credit mix that you have. So that will be what kind of credits you have already on your file. So it includes credit cards, student loans, car loans, mortgages, uh, um, phone bills, uh, utility bills, right? So all these different kind of credits, credit accounts impact because they're all reporting. And if they're all reporting that you're in compliance, that you're paying as agreed, then it's all building towards helping your credit score. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to those things. These are just practical tips. You can mix it up more. You can, if you really want to, if you say you're looking to get a mortgage in a couple of months time or in a few months time, you want to be able to start building your credit now and make sure that you have a solid mix of credit, right? Not just credit card, but line of credit, but don't just go and apply for every application that you make. It dings your score. You lose points from applying for scores for a lot of credit, and it also sends negative message to the bureau, right? So you want to space out your applications. Make sure you don't look desperate, that like you're looking for credit. So you want if you look, if it seems like you're looking for credit, for the ding you, right? So maybe I don't know what the exact score is, but they will ding you for opening too many accounts at the same time or applying for too many things. And if you really, like, you say you want to shop around for your mortgage, you want to be able to maybe use a broker or do the credit report yourself, run it, and then take it to the lender and tell them, with this score or with this report, what can you what rates can you offer me? Then you negotiate, right? And then if you decide on a lender, then you can let them do a hard check on you. So when you do yourself is considered a soft check, but when they do it, it's a hard check. And on a hard check, dings your score with probably like 15 points. So you want to be careful with those hard inquiries. So you don't want those. So the last thing that impacts your credit score is the credit checks. So that's the inquiries. So if there is a lot of inquiries on your credit report, it does negatively impact your score, and you want to avoid those hard checks. You want to make sure that before anybody runs your credit, that you're given the consent and that it's actually for something that is important and that you're spacing them out. Like it's not, maybe you're looking to rent a place today and you go to 5 different landlords and they all run your credit. You want to avoid that. That maybe you're applying for, you want a new credit card and you go to bank A and apply, and you go to bank B and apply, and you go to bank C and apply. No, you want to space those inquiries out and make sure that nobody's checking your scores randomly or without your consent or permission. So be careful with those credit checks so that it doesn't negatively impact you and ding your score. When I decided that I was going to get a solid credit score, I made some mistakes that you want to avoid. And that was calling the bank and asking them to close one of my oldest accounts, right? One of my credit cards. I had decided to pay off that credit card, and then I paid it off, and then I requested that they close it. That's a no, don't do it, because closing one of your oldest accounts impacts your score, like we already discussed. Now let's recap to some of the tips that your takeaways from this video, right? Number one, check your score. Check your score right now. It's free, and you can do it through your bank or through Borrowwell if you're in Canada, or Credit Karma if you're in the States, right? So check your score. That's number one. Number two, payments. Make your payments on time. And to do that, you need to know when the due dates are. So get a pen or a digital system and mark down all your due dates, right? Write down all your due dates and then set up your payments to go 10 days before. 10 days before. Doesn't matter if it's weekend or not. that should be a long time if you're using online banking. Unless you're sending checks, then pay it, whatever, how many, I don't know how your postal service works, but pay it way ahead of time. But if you're using online banking, make sure you set up your payments to go 10 days before. And for all your accounts, for all your credit accounts, if you cannot pay your credit card in full, pay the minimum payment, but 10 days ahead, right? Number three, limit new applications, or be strategic with your new applications. Don't just apply for random things. Be strategic. If you're looking for a credit card, shop around first. Look for the best ones that offer the best deals. Like, in the future, I'm going to make a video about top credit cards that pay the most cashback, that give you the best cashback. Some of them are free, some of them are you have to pay an annual fee. But you want to be sure if it's points you're looking for, then look for the one that offers the best loyalty program for what it is you're looking for, miles, whatever it is, right? If it's cashback you want, make sure you're getting the best buck for your money. There's cards that give 2%, there's cards that give 4%, there's cards I think up to 5%, right? And some that give you even a promotion for 3 months for 10%. So you want to shop around first before you apply. So don't just apply for every credit card that you see or that gets advertised to you, right? And then if you're carrying a lot of balance, you want to apply for you want to target low interest credit cards so that you can transfer your balance to them and then pay those balances off. But if you have a problem with spending, then obviously you want to be careful with this point, because it's tricky. That leads me to the next point, the fourth tip, right? Increase your credit limits, right? Call your lender and see if they offer the ability to increase it, because sometimes there's wiggle room already because of your payment history. They can increase it without doing a hard check on your credit. So if you request for it, they will offer it, and then they will increase your limit, and then that's it. In turn helps your utilization. But don't go and spend it up again. Don't go fill it up again, right? Because then you'll be wasting your time and everything you just did has just reverted. So pay on time and then increase the limit, right? And make sure that your utilization is below 30%. Lastly, you want to diversify your credit mix, right? You want to make sure there's different kinds of credit there, or that your utility bills actually report it's being reported, or your phone bills, it's being reported to your credit. If you have a car loan, if you have student loan, credit card, like those all impact your score. So a healthy credit mix helps balance. Don't forget to keep your old accounts open, right? Leave them open. Just cut up the cards and throw the cards away, or shred it, right? Cut it or shred it, but leave the account open. It doesn't matter, as long as it's a free card, you're good. Then pay off those high interest debt off. Pay them off completely, right? If you have a savings account that pays you 2%, 3%, even 5%, it's not worth it to have debt that is costing you 20%. Your credit card essentially costs you 20%, and you have savings that is earning you 5% at the max. So how do you compare? Like, that doesn't even, let's say you have $1,000, you're owing $1,000 on a credit card, and you have $1,000 sitting in your savings account that is earning 5%. At the end of the year, the savings is going to give you $50, and then the credit card is going to charge you compounded interest of 20%. That's over $200. So it doesn't even compare, right? Like, and I'm using simple interest for that 20% to give you $200. But if you compound it, it's way more than it's way more than 200. So why are you saving 1,000 and that is earning you $50 to spend to carry a balance of 1,000 that is costing you 200, 500, 50, 200, 50, 200, like, paid off. Now remember, patience is key, right? You have to be patient with this thing. I said to give it 3 to 6 months. So you do want to give it 3 to 6 months because it does take time to fix your credit if it's bad. And if there are like collections already in your account, you want to call and negotiate those, right? You don't want to leave those there because those are the biggest impacts. Otherwise, it will stay in your account for 7 years. If there's bankruptcy, sorry, it's going to stay there 7 years. Collections is easier to deal with than bankruptcy. So with collections, you can call collections and settle them for a fraction of what you owe, right? You can negotiate and say you owe $100, right? You can probably negotiate for 60 to 80%, but make sure you get it in writing, because if you just do a verbal agreement with some agent on the phone, they might screw you, right? So you want to get it in writing. Tell them to send you an email copy that says that the agreement that if you pay $60, that they're going to wipe away your $100. If you pay $80, they're going to wipe away the 100 that you owe, right? Because they bought it for a fraction too from the original lender. So you want to make sure that you are negotiating those collections. And then in terms of removing it from your credit report, you either want to dispute it with the credit agency, reporting agency, or call the original debt issuer and tell them that you didn't know. Like a lot of the times, what goes to collection is that even things you owe that you didn't know that you owed, right? It could be things, it could be that you're a victim of identity theft, right? There's so many things you can tell them when you call. Just call and see, and ask what they can do for you. Negotiate, ask questions. Negotiate. These people, there's somebody on the other line or somebody at the end of that line is interested in probably helping you, as long as you don't get somebody who's just not a good human being, right? But if you get somebody who's doing their jobs and know what they're doing, like a lot of the times they'll probably be more help to you when you say, "What can you offer me?" Like that simple phrase, "What can you offer me?" You know, the other day I forgot about something and I was able to get um, an interest waived once, right? Let's say you pay 90%, sorry, you owe $100 and you pay $99 before the due date. And then the $1 is outstanding on the due date. They will charge you interest for the whole $100. So you want to be careful with those two, right? So just make sure that you're taking steps and you're negotiating. Don't forget, this channel is about applications. So with everything I've just said, I want you to take practical steps. I want you to apply what you've just heard, right? I want you to take practical steps, apply distance to and tell me how it goes, right? Tell me in the comment below. Like, did you have success? Did you struggle? Is there something I can help with? If you know if something I can help you with, put it in the comment section or DM me, right? I'm on Instagram. So message me and then we can figure out strategies to work at it together, right? Yeah, you're not alone, right? I've been there. I went through this, and I made some mistakes. I learned through my mistakes, and I'm growing. So it's never ending. But I can't say that I regret any part of this journey of getting to over 800 score. Like it's different. Make it a goal, right? Decide, commit, apply. Decide, commit, apply. Right? Decide today that you want the score, and then commit to getting that score, and then apply what you've just heard. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I'll see you in the next video. I wish you peace and prosperity. Have a great day. Bye bye.